94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, it's coming into 7 minutes after 9 o'clock, and a great way to continue with these conversations that we have every morning. All right, and even as we do, I will take the opportunity to remind you that you can walk into any Naivas into the holiday season, getting into the Easter holidays, Kikapu Kibonge, and your shopping basket doesn't need to shrink. It can actually get bigger. The way it can get bigger is with Naivas deals, and there are many things on offer as you get into the Easter holiday, as well as then getting ready for back to school, which happens in round about a week or so. So you want to take advantage of that. Naivas around the country, Kapu Kibonge. All right, so we're getting into a political conversation. As soon as our guest joins us, we'll then be able to do that. And just looking at some of the things that we had clicked into before, coming into some of these conversations, how we make decisions and how we then give responsibility to Parliament. And even as we think about that, the very details of some of those decisions that are made are then important to be looked into. That have we seen do I want to use the word deterioration? Deterioration of Parliament as a decision-making body, as a law-making body, as an oversight body, and as a budget-making body, to then make decisions about who will be nominated based on what? Based on the fact that the president said a certain thing, or based on thought and merit and clear thinking that you have applied to a particular principle? And are we okay with that? The manner in which we see things today. Are you happy?
City, go first.
Thank you very much, Dennis. How are you today?
Fine, thank you, City. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. Am I happy? This discussion, cannot be prefaced by whether I'm happy or not. Not really. Okay, but our guest is in the studio, so we will pause.
But you can just say yes or no.
I'm not going to. This is not a yes or no question. I'm not going to answer yes or no.
Are you disappointed?
With what?
With how they carry their affairs.
If I expected something to go in a certain direction and then it happens.
Okay.
Am I displeased with the process? There is a criteria that is met. You want that person to have the job. It's a criteria, is it not?
Yeah, indeed.
And you make sure they have the job. Okay. So when we talk about a criteria, what is this criteria that must be met?
And how you started out with something with a very intention at the end of the day. If you knew walking in, if you knew the very end result of how you wanted something to be, then we shouldn't be surprised if that's the result that was achieved.
Not really. Not really. There needs to be clarity here. Yes.
So this forms part of the conversation into the one that we'll be having this hour in terms of how we make decisions and what will then happen with the next election. Usually is really kind of the only activity that folks get involved when it comes to civic education. That when it comes to an election, when you cast your ballot, that's really just about the size of it. Civic education really doesn't happen beyond voter registration and, a little bit that you pick up here and there unless you teach yourself. Now, politics versus competency. The road to 2027 is a conversation that we're having this hour, and we're having that with Bosco Mutegi Kiora, who is a governance expert, and he joins us in the hot seat this hour. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you doing?
Very well.
Karibu sana.
Asante. Thank you very much for inviting me to this important discussion.
Well, thank you for being in the hot seat this morning. We're glad that you have honored that invitation.
Yes.
And into conversations that we'll be having this hour. CT will first of all give you today's proverb. He'll tell you where it's from, and then you can interpret that for us, right?
Okay.
Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week have been from the Republic of Malawi.
Okay.
Buffaloes are held by ropes, man by his words.
Buffaloes are held by their ropes and men by their words. Okay. To start with, buffaloes are held by their ropes. For you to, my thinking is, maybe I start with a man. Is that allowed?
My friend, even if you want to bring a giraffe into the conversation, just go ahead. Yes.
So, in my interpretation, a man is always held with his word. And there are things called the gentleman's agreement. Sometimes people sit down and do agreements on paper and sign and all that. But what matters at the end of the day, is the gentleman's agreement, whereby if I agree with you, I'll do this for you in the next 1 year or so, or in about 2 weeks, I'll give you a certain amount of money. I might write it down in an agreement and dishonor it, but we can agree word for word on gentleman's agreement, and I honor it. About the bull and the rope, that's an interesting one. Bulls are held.
Buffalo.
Oh, buffalo. Sorry.
I know I mentioned the giraffe.
They're in the same family.
Who? The giraffe?
Bulls and buffalo.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Please go ahead. You do have a point there.
Okay.
Yes.
As I said, bulls and buffaloes are in the same family, and so they're held by. So, what in my interpretation on this, bulls are strong, buffaloes are strong, and so if they are not restricted a little bit, they can go, they can harm, they can go overboard. I think mainly that's my interpretation so
That's
far.
perfectly all right.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
This wasn't an exam, by the way. Huh?
Okay.
So you can't be right or wrong. It's okay. That's your interpretation, and it's good.
It's right in my own way.
Yes,
But-
everything that you've said
Yes.
makes sense.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Fantastic. Okay, so Bosco, there are many things that have happened over the last couple of days. The one that got everybody, talking really is one practice that has happened that seems to be a continuance of an initial idea, and that is essentially rubber stamping, or the decisions or the nominations of the president, and not really listening to the things that are actually being said, or paying attention to the things that are actually being done. So when we talk about competence and we talk about the road to 2027, which for all intents and purposes, everybody's already on that road and they've packed their bags and, we're heading down towards 2027. But when it comes to competence, are we at the place where really we are making decisions based on competence, or are we making decisions based on political desire?
Now, I think actually we speak about leadership both on the political people or political leadership, and also the appointed ones. I have seen in the Standard today, I think there's something about are they unfit for these positions. So I've seen there's one Honorable Ruku, who is from Mbeere North, who has been a member from Mbeere North. And then there is, I think, Wendot, who is now taking up the position of gender position. I think, without even going to others, if we start there, we look at Wendot and the issues surrounding her appointment and what she said and all this. When you talk about competence, if you look at Wendot on the gender position, there was an issue where she mentioned a statement about girls and money and all that, but she later apologized. So for me, I think she's the right person for that position, bearing in mind she's a widow, she has 3 children, she's a lawyer, all that.
Bosco,
Yes.
there are certain job requirements where you must be the things you've mentioned.
Pardon?
Are the job requirements where the very attributes are mentioned that you've mentioned?
I'm going there. So I'll just mention something which is outside the prerequisites. I mean, if it's a degree, she's a lawyer. If it's she went through the vetting with the members of parliament and all that, and eventually they approved her. So while I settle at that with the Wendot, if you look at Honorable Ruku has been a member of parliament for Mbeere North for the last 2 years. I think, to be fair to him, for the last 2 years, he has done some classroom in some areas. There was an area, I think, called Gashoreri or something, whereby the classrooms have been made of mud for the last since independence. And he has been able to transform that and make decent classrooms, which are made of concrete and all that. Like 2-3 places, I researched and I thought I could mention. And also to say, I think Roko is a robust and young and energetic person who really deserved this position because of his experience in the parliament and also now taking up the
he
position.
has done in Mbeere. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
looking at his track record.
Okay.
To be fair to him.
These things that he did in Mbeere, did he use his own money?
No.
He used state resources.
Exactly. That's
Okay,
where we are.
One.
Competence.
Two. Was he doing his job?
Yeah.
He was doing his job.
Very well.
So why should we applaud him for doing his job?
Why should we not applaud him?
Question. Let me just-
This is this is what you are supposed to do.
Correct.
You're getting paid to do this.
Yes.
Should we now say that you have done your job, and on top of being paid to do what you're supposed to do, we now applaud you, and because of that,
And there's even
we
money,
reward you.
controversial money that has been allocated for you to do such
That
things.
job.
It's called
CDF.
NGCDF.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the flip side, there
I
are
want
leaders.
you to answer that question.
Yes, I'm answering that
Yeah.
with competence now. I was just talking about his competence because you can be in a member of parliament, for example, who is corrupt with no integrity, non-accountable, poor decision making, poor, you have no right qualifications and all that. So if we argue this way, I was arguing based on his competence, based on his qualifications, he was able to do this work. Otherwise, there was someone else who was there. For the last period I've mentioned, where there were classrooms made of mud and no one was able to sort it. So that was my whole argument. Otherwise, I was just speaking only of Roko and competence. Yes.
Okay.
The things that Ruku was doing for the people of Mbeere North, was it a favor for the people, or is it a right for the people of Mbeere?
It is a right for the people of Mbeere, but my argument is very simple. If someone else was there other than Roko, who was not competent like Roko, we could be having a different story because we have seen these things happening in different places, whereby people elect. To give an example, the electorate elect people based on emotions, whereby this guy has vied so many times. Let's just give him, and 3 years down the line, they start crying. Oh, this one we didn't know. We made a wrong decision and all that. So we should just even in the moving to the 2027 election, we need to be careful and analyze leaders based on their track record. Like, to give you the example I've given of the track record of Roko, if he vies to another position in future, he should be considered based on how he will perform even in this public service position. On the issue of this other lady went out, the gender position is arguable. Even men could take that position because in this country, we have always thought gender is women.
You and whom?
People have, not me, people have always connected that gender word with women. I'm not saying, because women have been marginalized previously in the society and they are the backbone, they bring the children and all that. So what I was saying with that issue is, in as much as now she has gotten this position as a gender, a female, for the gender position as a female, she should also consider issues of men, because there's a lot of issues of mental health and issues that are affecting men as well. So let her be given a chance. Let her do the job she's applied for, and she seems to be qualified. Fair enough.
Okay. When we look at competencies, what, in your opinion, should folks be looking for when they are, shown different candidates? And we're going to another year where, remember, 2022 then marked a very interesting year because there was a changeover. There was a change of guard from a president who'd served for 10 years and then brought in another one who happened to be his deputy. And then we get to a year where things happened in 2024 that were very different from ever before, that folks came out and they said, protesting this kind of governance, and said, we will not take this anymore. Do you think that has flipped the switch, whereby people will be looking at individuals not to vote because they look nice, speak well, but that because they will be competent to actually deliver?
Actually, I think where the problem is and where we should start is if you look back at the 2022 general elections, the turnout was low. We had 14 million voters out of the 22, which was about 65% of the voters. There was apathy. There was some apathy to some extent. The youths didn't come out as expected to vote. And the problem we have with that issue is we have a 78% population of the youth in this country who don't have jobs and who are always complaining this and that. However, when it comes for them to be counted in the ballot, they avoid the ballot. And I'll answer what you are saying about is the trend changing. I think it's changing. It is evident from last year in June 25th, we saw what happened. So the issues I'm talking about is when we have elections, let's look at leaders based on their competence, on their track record. For example, as you're asking about what makes of a good leader, is someone who is who have problem-solving skills, who is able to make decisions, who is able to make quick decisions, and which are helpful to the society. Someone who is able to make decisions that are impactful to the society at the end of the day. So that's why I said the challenge we have in this country, we have a very high deficiency of genuine leadership in this country. And the problem has been people not having previous leaders have not had willingness to tackle the issue of corruption, for example. And that's where we are going wrong. To give you an example with counties, when an MCA or a senator is elected, and you replace the one who was there with the notion that this one has vied so many times, let's just give him. Or let's replace this old man who has been there with a younger person. And 2-3 years down the line, you realize you made a terrible mistake because you voted with emotions other than trying to analyze what is the track record of this person, what is the society, what is his background, is he a Christian or a Muslim, or I mean, what is his religious background, what is his education background, what is he able to do, what has he done before, does he have integrity, does he have issues that are supposed to solve the problems of Mwananchi? I think that's what I think.
You've mentioned about previous leaders failing to address corruption, and even as we speak at the moment, the current leadership that is in power were elected on the basis of their promise to fight corruption. And we know what is happening in the country at the moment, which begs the question, as these promises keep being thrown at Kenyans to vie to get them to office, are we as Kenyans hearing what they're saying, interrogating what they're saying, and making the right decisions? Or are we just following the wind? Because the wind is going left, we all go left.
As I've just said, I think the problem we have in this country, first of all, is actually the attitude with the society. Because if you look at the issue of corruption critically, you might realize most people are corrupt on the small issues. Like, no, that's the truth be said. Most people are corrupt because when you go to town, for example, in the CBD, just giving an example, not myself, not you people in this room, but if someone goes to town, the parking fee is...
Why are you leaving us out?
Because I want to be safe. So now, on a light note, so when someone goes to town with his car, the parking fee probably is around 300 shillings. Then you have a parking boy who is there telling you, oh, you can give me 100. I talk to the Kanjo person and you won't pay anything. You give me that 100. They share 50-50. I mean, you are the one who is engineering. You are the one who is propagating this corruption. You are the one who is doing the actual corruption as a person. But the problem could be far-fetched than that, have started far beyond that. When you bring up children in our houses, telling them, Daddy, I want you to do this, then I will do this. Okay?
I don't understand. Sorry,
I'm getting there.
Okay.
You tell your kid, if you wash the house, or you do the house chores, I'll give you some money.
Okay.
You've started putting that thing in that child's thing, that I have to do this for me to be paid. Okay? And it then goes growing and growing and growing, that the child has the notion that until I get something is when I can do the job. House chores for children, it should be a normal job.
Okay. So are you saying essentially that what we see in society today is as a result of the upbringing of many people, and it takes you into leadership and
a societal issue?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It could be. And so, away from, instead of, I don't like dealing with the negatives so much, let's look for a way out and try to figure out how we sort out this mess. The way to sort out this mess is very simple. elect the right leaders.
How?
How do you know? All right.
I've just said you look at their track record, you look at their qualifications.
Let me give you an example. Okay.
Yes.
The people who make up the House of Parliament today, let's just use them as an example. A number of them this is not their first term.
Yes.
We have many members of Parliament who are 10-year MPs, 15-year MPs. If you go and ask in their constituencies what their track record is, the people who voted for them will tell you, just like you said about Roko, he built a school. We used to have mud huts, but now we see a school with cement walls. Or we did not have a cattle dip, now we have one. We did not have a classroom with roofs, now we have one. Track record, isn't it? Yes. Now, based on that, they give them the vote when they go. Or at Christmas time, they give us something to eat. They fulfill the needs of people. It equates to track record. Most of the people upon whom decisions are made when they're going to the ballot, there's an element of track record that is taken into consideration, and they vote based on that. What happens between the time when somebody is declared a winner and the time that they go to set about their duties? Something happens in that period that we're not quite yet ready to, or we're not quite understanding. I don't know if it's in the water people drink. I don't know if it's in the direction that they walk, or what happens. What happens?
Let me tell you what happens. You have hit the way it's supposed to be hit now. Our politics in this country, we have a very big challenge, because I remember 2 years ago, this Dr. Fred Matiang'i said, we are likely to find, what are they called? Wash people, criminals and all that in the parliament. I remember him saying that. And they are there right now. How? When we come to voting, we look at people based on ethnic background. We look at people based on what the money, how much money they have. We look at people based on cronies, political parties. We look at people based on the political parties. So if you are not from this, if you're coming to vie with this political party, it has to be ethnically.
Is there something wrong with that?
What is right about it?
You tell us.
I mean, you're
there's
saying,
something terribly wrong about that.
why? Well, why is something wrong? If
You're asking specifically about the political party.
No, I'm asking everything. I mean, if I'm voting for someone because he's my tribe, or he belongs to a political party, or he has money, or why is it wrong?
It is wrong this way. When you vote me in because I've given you some money, just know that I've bought you. So 2 years down the line, because I've taken a loan, I'll have to pay that loan from your money, to pay that loan, so that we can now be at the same level. Okay? If you vote me because my party leader has said we must vote for so and so, 2 years down the line, now when I've talked about those two aspects, we have now freezed anything about qualifications, prerequisites, and all that. So we are just voting you because my party leader has said we vote this person, ignoring whether you are a thief, whether you are incompetent, whether whichever, all the other prerequisites have now been ignored, or they have been put to the shelf, just because party leader said, or just because I have the money. Okay? So the problem and the tragedy with that is when we have leaders now who are, first of all, to start with, because they are incompetent. This guy has no education background, has zero, nothing. He cannot be able to speak in the parliament. He cannot make a critical statement on behalf of his people and all that. So that's the whole challenge we have.
So whose fault? Sorry.
Bosco.
Whose fault? The voters.
No, hang on. Let's walk through this process, shall we?
Yes.
When it comes to political parties,
Yes.
the way in which it happens is that, I mean, God forbid that anybody should follow a political party based on ideology, which was the reason why political parties actually came into existence in the first place. But okay, we go with the practice, right? We go through a process called nominations, and at the political party level, an individual is nominated and they become, for that position, the party individual that will go up in the ballot. Yes? No. They go through party nominations. The party selects. That's the person that is presented. That process that you speak about, whether they bribed the party leader, whether they went and did whatever for them to be on the ballot, or for them to be the one who's nominated, has nothing to do with the voter.
It has everything.
No. When that person is placed for nomination, where is the voter in that process?
Okay.
From the party.
Proceed. I'll show you where the voters
From
come
the
in.
political party process, when
Yes.
that person who is up for nomination is brought forward, did anybody vote, or did the political party make the decision?
The political party made the decision.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, you have political parties across the country who present their individuals for nomination. According to them, that is the best. We have looked, we have sifted, we have shaken everything, and this is the person that we have brought before you.
Yes.
Was I involved in that process as a voter?
No.
Exactly. So now you presented this person to me. Now whether they are competent or not, I, the voter, have to make a decision based on who you've brought to me.
Yes.
Now, whether you brought to me the guy who has only two things in his head, or whether you brought to me the person who's actually gone through the process of education, I am not the wiser.
Or a drug baron or a criminal.
Whomever. But
Yes.
you has, as the political party, have done a great injustice because you have brought me somebody based on the decisions that you guys have made in your covens. Which is a systemic failure even from the very beginning. So what are you? It's like a buffet. You tell me that the buffet is going to offer the very best, and then I see two strings of some tired letters somewhere and some sukuma wiki that has been there for days. I have to make a decision between the tired letters and the 3-day-old sukuma wiki, and you're telling me that it's my fault.
Yes.
What have you given me
How
in
is-
terms of an
it is
option?
It is your vote this way. If a political party has brought a criminal, why not vote a good candidate who is an independent candidate?
What if both of them
What-
are criminals?
wh-
No. We can't have like 7 people. All of them are bad. So you take the one who you think
So
is
you're
best.
saying you take the best of the options that
The
you've been
options.
given.
The best of the worst, so to speak.
That's what we've reduced ourselves to, isn't it?
That is how it should be. And we should look at these challenges to come even to the political parties. For you to be in the you have just said that the party leader will just give. I was saying the party leader was just what you have talked about, the nominations and all that may never happen, because I'm a fair and a just and accountable leader in that political party. But just because the party leader, he gives you the certificate, and I lose it, and I was supposed to get it by merit, I lose it. And these people, they wanted me to elect me. Okay? So they have lost a chance of the leader they wanted to elect. That's how political parties affect.
Bosco, are you
party-
suggesting
our
that
leadership.
political parties are democracies?
Pardon?
Are you suggesting that that political parties are democracies, or that they should practice democracy?
Democracy is wide. So the thing is, political parties should be grow and should be a good and the best avenue to protect the electorates from bad leaders, from bad leadership. How? Let there be fair and free nominations, okay? Which it never happens.
That's a democratic process.
That's a democratic
Very
process.
good. Now we are coming there. So it's a democratic process. But if you go, even if you go to the nominations with the free and fair, or what is called free and fair, which is never sometimes there. So we elect out of the 3 candidates who are there, the people will be bribed and they will elect, because the guy who has the money has a lot of loot. Because what happens in politics, you as city is very unlikely to use your hard-earned money to bribe people. Isn't
Bosco,
it?
even as we go to the break, it is unfair for you to blame the citizenry, because the same breath, we understand how our political processes go through. If you fail, you can go as an independent candidate.
Correct.
And we've seen the very same citizens saying no to the political parties and electing an independent individual to go represent them. But that conversation after the break.
Let's do it after the break. We're talking this morning with Bosco Mutegi Kiuria, and we are asking the question, on the road to 2027, are we looking towards competence, or are we looking towards something else? We'll come back and we continue that conversation. It's 25 minutes to 10. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. We'll take a look at weather and traffic. We'll be back on the other side of this.
Situation Room. The only way to start your day. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Bosco Mutegi Kiuria is our guest this hour, and we are looking into politics versus competency and the road to 2027. Are we actually electing the right leaders? I mean, for lots of people, for all intents and purposes, it's as though we are not. And the question is, how do we? Dennis, before we went to the break, you had a question.
Yes, and even as we were talking in terms of the opportunity to elect independent leaders, that is there in the Constitution. But I just want to go back to what the papers say today in terms of Is it politics, or are we having competent people in these offices? If you look at this paper, Ruku, when serving as MP in Mbeere, initiated 2 controversial amendments in Parliament that unsettled many citizens. He is remembered for his controversial proposals in the amendment of Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act and formulating anti-demonstration law that would have forced organizers of protests to pay for damages caused by protesters. Number 2, Ruku wanted to alter the tendering process, deleting 2 key corruption offences that protect public funds from embezzlement and to enforce accountability among public officials handling public resources. This is in the public domain. The exercise that happened in this house, were they playing politics or giving competency a chance to serve?
I agree with you that in this world we live in, we need to agree that there are no angels. Angels live in heaven. Here are only human beings who have errors, who make mistakes. So when we critique this, when we say the good of Dennis, we can also look at the bad of Dennis. So it's also fair. It's only fair that way. So there's those bills you have talked about, Honorable Ruku. I have nothing I can say about that because he made them and all that.
But you are the same person who said the first part of the show,
yes,
that we should put people in offices based on their track record.
Yes.
This right here,
yes,
is Ruku's track record.
Good.
And it is a track record that goes to point of an individual who wanted to curtail some rights from Kenyans.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So as we talk about him taking the position of public service, this is public service,
yes,
that is going to ensure that each and every single public servant gets their right.
Yes.
Having done this,
yes,
are we giving credence to competency, or are we playing politics?
That's why I said Ruku is not an angel. He explained his context on why he did those things in Parliament, and for me, I would leave that at that. What I've said, what I wanted to say is the challenge with our politics, and I would like to dwell more on a way forward on how to help the electorate. Before you say that I'm unfair and all that, what we need right now is serious civic education. Because when we have voters' apathy from the youth, and they're the ones who are complaining, it is unfair to them, they are being unfair to themselves, and it will not help them, because when they start complaining that they are unemployed and all that, then when it comes to voting, they don't vote. It is a challenge. I'm calling to each and every youth who thinks that things are not right to participate in the change, and they can participate in 2 ways. One, they can even vie to be members of Parliament, MCAs and all that, to participate in the change in the leadership. 2, they should focus and take advantage of their social media. They are very good in social media to whip all the people in the society to remove bad leadership. Okay? So this is the best way people should think about making changes. But what is important and very critical at this moment is to have a civic education. When we have a population that has given up, that this will never change, that will never change, they need to be educated and know on the day of election, don't open your business because you say, why am I going to vote anyway? And things will not change. They need to know, if you do, good citizens put in bad leaders. When you don't vote, go vote to put your voice and say, my voice is, I don't want this leader, I want the other leader. You have given that leader the other vote. That's the automatic, that's automatically what you're saying. So we need civic education to educate people, to know that it is their right to change a leadership through the vote. And they can only do it, not through telling people, you know me, I don't like that leader. You have to cast that vote.
Let me ask you something, Bosco.
Yes.
Are you suggesting in any way that the electorate do not know who they are voting in when they vote?
I've not said that. I've said voter apathy. It was there in the last election, 2022, 65%.
Okay, let me ask another question.
Yes, please.
Are you saying
Yes.
that when people don't vote, they do not know why they're not voting?
No, they know why they're not voting.
Yes.
They know that they don't want to go and vote because they don't like that leader. Or, to give you another example, someone goes to the voting booth. City is here. You cancel. You have voted for that person. People, a lot of electorates sometimes do that. So we are not saying Kenyans are fools. Kenyans are very intelligent people, and they know what they want and how they want it. However, we need to remind them. You have seen big companies always advertising. Why do they advertise? To remind people that we are still there, this is our best product and all that. So let's keep the civic education being done all the time. The other issue that's very critical that affects the voters. Right now we are having IEBC recruitment for IEBC commissioners and chairman and all that. And this is the right time for people to put petitions together and say, Dennis, talking now about the track record, Dennis has an issue here. Please consider this issue as you deliver the judgment on whether he's a suitable candidate or not. This is the right time to correct that mess.
What mess exactly?
Of the competence.
Of whom?
Of whom?
Of the IEBC commissioners.
There are no IEBC commissioners in place. Currently, there's vetting that's going on.
What I'm saying is this. I think maybe I'm not clear.
No.
I don't know whether my mother tongue can work. So I'm saying, when now we are having the process of recruiting new commissioners, isn't it?
Yes.
If we allow now to get the wrong commissioners because we are quiet, we have seen Commissioner A is corrupt and we know he's a criminal and he molested some kids there or he did corruption. This is the right time to put. Are
you aware that there actually are petitions in place right now for some of the nominated commissioners or those who applied and are in the interview process, that there were some petitions that went before court to preclude them then from being involved or included in the process?
Good. That's why I'm saying we do more of that. Even the ones that people think this one is not a petition, bring it on board so that when they are given those positions, you have evidence to run to court and challenge.
And even as we talk about the IEBC, the vetting of IEBC commissioners exercise that is ongoing, the panel has done its job. A few names will be proposed. It will go through another process. They will even go to Parliament to be vetted. And at that point, whoever will go through that process, there will either be proper vetting exercise that will be taken by the bodies mandated to undertake that exercise, or there will be the converts where it will be just another rubber stamping of names given to them because the high authority has said so. So in terms, we go back to our topic of today, in terms of politics or competence, seems as though what you're doing so much in this country is playing politics and not rewarding competencies. How do we deal with that, Bosco?
How do we deal with the politics to avoid the politics and get the right leadership, isn't it? I didn't get it.
Dennis, repeat what you just said, please.
Yes. I think I'm slow.
The ongoing exercise of the IEBC is going through a specific exercise, that is vetting that will even go to Parliament.
Correct.
There is a feeling that there is a rubber stamping of what authorities want in this country. We are playing politics and not rewarding competency. As we approach 2027, how do we deal with that mess of ensuring that people that we have are competent individuals and not playing politics?
Well, now the challenge is you have very well explained the process and where the names will go from there, the Parliament approval. It boils back to what we were saying before, which is our members of Parliament. Because if we get this nice, very good list of people, but then there is only one person who has integrity issues, but it is the one that the politicians want, we end up getting in the same mess. So it may happen this time, but my point was, if you know you have an issue with a certain person and you don't want them to go through the line, bring those things on board so that by any event, in case they get nominated or get these positions, you have evidence which you had already put as material evidence to the panel that you can rush to court with and salvage the situation.
So this is the problem that we see.
Yes.
That the things that you're talking about in terms of bringing out these issues were actually done, and that's the conundrum in which we find ourselves in. Members of Parliament, let's just use this vetting process as an example. Members of Parliament across board complained about certain issues. the Roko gentleman that you mentioned, Wendot that you mentioned, not just this one, but even the previous vetting of cabinet secretaries, members of parliament stood up across board, from the leader of the minority to the leader of majority to the across parliament itself, and said, I have an issue here, 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 and here. They raised the issue. But interestingly enough, at the end of the day, they passed in an overwhelming majority that these individuals had met the mark. So tell me, what kind of confusion? If they're taking the formula that you say, bring these issues up, we bring them up. They have brought the issue up.
Very good.
But the same group of people, not a different group of people, the same group of people who've brought up the issues on one hand, at the end of the day say, okay, we've brought up the issues, but you know what? Go ahead. BCS.
You and I.
Explain to me now how bringing up the issues gives you now a good decision at the end of the day.
You and I are agreeing that our leadership is a reflection of our society.
No, that's not what I have said. I want to understand why, based on what you have said, is that the way to solve this problem is to bring out these issues and petition these issues when we face them. That's the way to solve the problem. But the very group that has brought up the issues is the same group who is rubber stamping these individuals.
Overwhelmingly.
Yes.
How do we have a solution in that manner?
That's why
it has nothing to do with society in the four walls of parliament. Hold on. They are making a decision within parliament.
Yes.
The vetting process, CT is about doing his business, Dennis has gone to do something, Ndu's attending a podcast somewhere, you're somewhere doing something else, right? In parliament, where they have a role to play, you know the three roles of parliament, oversight, representation, and legislation, right? They do those three things. They are oversighting a process of who will run a government ministry. And they have raised issues. Can I read them for you?
He has read.
I'll read them again.
Okay.
There's no harm. What did they say? One, we're not even going to read what Junet Mohammed has said because we'll get angry. Article 152 is clear, according to Atienda Amolo, that a cabinet secretary shall not be a member of parliament. Roko should not have come to the house. His presence today raises question about the separation of powers between parliament and the executive. One, an issue clear as day.
Yes.
Raise that issue. Another one from Milia Viambo. It is unfortunate that this is the ministry where in a very short time we've rejected 3 cabinet secretaries, speaking about the gender desk. I am not saying she's incompetent. She's a very competent lawyer. But when we assign someone with such a sensitive role, we must be deliberate. They've raised the issue in there where they're supposed to be making the decision. In the same room, they didn't go out to do public participation.
Yes.
They didn't go out to talk to CT in Tamu to ask him. In the same room, on the same day when they made or raised these issues, they then voted overwhelmingly for the same individuals to take up those positions anyway.
Very well.
Where are you involved in that?
Very well. That's why I'm saying, to start with, whether they made mistake or Roko made a mistake to be in parliament or not, that's a problem of the leadership of the parliament. If he was not supposed to be there, they would have stopped him even from accessing, even from the gate, to start with. Now, the other issue you're talking about, reflection. I was talking about the reflection of the leaders we elect as good as the people. How? You are talking about having people in parliament who are passing things that are unpopular to their citizenry. So why are they passing
Not
them?
even the citizenry. The citizens are not in parliament when they are making this decision, Bosco.
That's what I'm saying.
They are in a place where the president makes a nomination.
Yes.
He nominates people,
Yes.
and by the constitution,
Yes.
these individuals will then be presented before parliament, a parliamentary committee,
Yes.
and then they will go to the plenary and they will make a decision based on what the committee has finished with.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In that place, there's no public participation. 50 million Kenyans are not there saying yes or no. There's no referendum. Based on the issues that have come out from the committee, they make a decision. They voted overwhelmingly on these things that they had issues with.
That's where the problem is. Because I'm saying, very simple, in simple language, we are the ones who elected these people to be in parliament, to be our representatives. So whatever they are doing on our behalf. So we are the ones who send them to parliament. So if they are corrupt, if they are doing decisions, they are making decisions that are hurting us, they are representing us. We are saying the mess that they are putting us in, we are the ones who put them there, and to give them all the powers to pass, to approve budgets, to approve people who have bad integrity, as we are saying, and all that. They are the ones who are passing these people. So they are representing us. we have rightly said that there are 3 roles of members of parliament. One of them is representation, because we can't go all of us to parliament. So they are representing us in the wrong way. And so we are the ones who elected them. That's why I was saying competence is required. So before we elect leaders, and when I was talking about track record, by the way, I was not limited to public service. You should investigate on the track record, even if it's a church leadership, community leadership, private sector. Know what this guy was doing in the private sector.
Bosco, are you suggesting that the public who vote in these politicians do not have a track record? Those members of parliament are locals. They're people who are known.
Yes, they have bad track record sometimes.
And yet they're still elected.
Yes, for the reasons that I explained, which you had a problem with. Issues of money, issues of political party.
Actually, it's not that I had a problem. I merely asked a question. What was wrong with whatever?
Money.
Yes, exactly, because...
What's wrong with you selecting somebody who's from the same tribe as you? Is there something wrong with that?
Or somebody who gives money. Let's go through the whole thing I said. Or someone who gives people money. Yeah. Okay? Or somebody who the leadership of the political party has nominated. You see, if the people who elect our politicians and our politicians come from the areas where they are elected, is there anything that the voting public don't know?
What I was saying about electing someone from ethnically.
Yes.
If we have, I don't want to profile ourselves here, but I'm saying if we have a Kikuyu, we have a Kalenjin, we have a Luo. But the Luo is most qualified. And you're electing a king just because he's from your area. And then 2 years down the line, you start complaining he has messed you. And you knew the Luo had qualifications, had a good track record, he's a good person, and all that. So you lost the opportunity cost. You lost this guy because you are led by emotions and their ethnicity.
Bosco, this parliament we have here is just about the most educated parliament we've had.
It is.
It is?
Educated. The people in there.
But there are some who are also not educated.
Yes, I said it is one of the most educated parliament that we have.
Yes.
In terms of the things they have done within their communities, they will tell you, this person, even before he vied for this particular position, there are things he has done. He has raised funds for churches, the usual things that politicians do. And if you look at his track record, even if he worked, he was a decent fellow, or she was a decent person, okay? They get elected because of that track record and other reasons that prevail. Then they get to parliament.
Yes.
Now, somewhere along the line, that decency seems to vanish.
I've seen professors getting elected. They start reasoning like us.
Now, the point I'm trying to make is, are we saying we don't know the people we elect? We do.
No, we don't.
So yes, we do. So the question I'm asking is, why then do we elect them? Are we happy with the processes that we use in electing? Because if we are unhappy, then we would have changed. But since we haven't changed, then you cannot say that we are unhappy.
Anyway, let me tell you, I think where the African society politics problems are.
Yes.
Due to the challenge of poverty and lack of resources and competing of resources and all that, you realize if I come to your area, I want to buy, for example, a member of parliament, and I discover, and you realize mostly those people in the slums and in those poor areas, they are densely populated. So you realize those people, this is where the votes are. If you profile them, this is where the votes are. And they go there, tell them, Cuban, I give you unga every day and I give you money. So, first of all, this person is compromised. Before he's making a decision, I've been doing wash. I've been doing crazy things to earn this money. Okay? That's why I said there's a CS who had said we will find criminals in the parliament because of the challenges that society have. People are poor. Someone who is poor, who doesn't have food, if you give him food, he will like you. It's like a dog. If you give a dog food every day, it will loyalty to you. What happens? That's the challenges we have as a society.
Definitely things to take into consideration, isn't it?
Yes.
Bosco, Mutegi Kura, thank you so much for being here this morning and for sharing your insights with us. Long road to be on towards the next decision that will be made when it comes to elections. So thank you for joining us on that conversation this morning and for being in the hot seat of the Situation Room. And to all of you, we want to wish you a blessed Monday, Thursday, getting into the holy season. Have a happy Easter with those you love and those who love you. Good morning. It's 10 a.m.